Zero Miedo. Yep, it's official. Pentagon Jr. is WWE for now. Pentagon Jr. was teased for months, for a few weeks now, with Chad Gable wanting to challenge himself essentially. But to give a clear backstory, Penta and Rey Fenix's contracts were coming up, and because everyone in the industry seems to really has to have the brains of a sock drawer, decided to because Penta was seeing WWE for a potential deal along with Rey Fenix to get the Lucha Bros in WWE, and yeah, they started talking about it backstage, and it prompted Tony Khan to, well, he couldn't punish Pentagon Jr. because, well, he hadn't been injured, but Rey Fenix had been injured on 2 occasions, and that meant his contract was held up and got extended artificially. And personally, and Tony Khan reportedly did try to get them to new deals, but they turned it down. Them's the breaks on that front. And I certainly was all for them leaving, not because they were, quote, unloyal or anything. No, I was all great for them for leaving because, besides the world title, there was hardly anything left for them to do in AEW. Like, Pentagon Jr. had been champion there, Rey Fenix was international champion and trios champion and tag team champions. They had awesome matches with the Young Bucks. They were AEW originals. They've been there for 5 years. So I was like, okay, if they want to leave, they can leave. Had it been better if they didn't do it while they were still under contract? Okay, we can have that argument all day and whatnot. And we can also have the argument if Tony Khan was right to extend Rey Fenix's contract after everything that happened, after all the injuries he had suffered from because of his luchador-like wrestling style. And, or as I call it, the rubber band effect, the rubber effect. Because almost every wrestler nowadays seemingly is made out of rubber. I find it funny. I always keep conspiring that there's a secret rubber surgeon that goes in and converts wrestlers' bones into rubber in order to justify all the bouncing around they do. Yeah, that would make so much sense if that was the case. But, yeah, so with Rey Fenix locked in an AEW contract till the end of this year probably, and Pentagon already out, it looked like plans had to be rearranged, and because WWE reportedly was planning to have them debut as a tag team, but now that Pentagon was going on his own and Rey was trapped in AEW, yeah. Honestly, and apparently the original plan before all this drama happened was that Penta, Rey, and Pac were about to get back together again, reunite Death Triangle, baby, and win the trios titles again at AEW All In. And that would have been fun, but I would have tried to at least be like, if I was Tony Khan, and I am glad I'm not on that front, on the business front, except for the power fantasy that he gets to live with his billions of dollars he makes every day, more than I'll ever make in a lifetime. I'll go cry afterwards. But, yeah, moving on from all that, so I would have at least tried to offer Rey and Penta this. I would have tried to offer them this. Look, I don't want to hold you guys up. I don't want to keep you locked in here for fake artificial reasons, specifically for injury reasons. But look, I'm willing to walk straight. I'm willing to meet you halfway through this. Just sign a brief little extension. Like, get me to Full Gear. Get you guys to Full Gear. Have a feud with the Blackpool Combat Club, aka the Death Riders. And you can resolve your storyline with Pac, and, you know, give an explanation for Pac's sudden allegiance to Death Riders, and you know, resolve that, and then have the Death Riders murder you on pay-per-view, like, go all out again with that. And then we move on, and you guys can go, no strings attached. You would have fulfilled, I felt like, your entire commitments here. Thank you for helping AEW get off the ground. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for everything you've served and everything you fought for in this company. And I wish you the best of luck in WWE. So I would have done that. I would have had them stick around to at least Full Gear and end their time there in AEW, having a fight with the Death Riders over the custody of Pac, and Pac choosing his side. But yeah, ultimately that's not what happened, and sadly probably will never happen, especially after this drama. And there was this whole fiasco with Rey Fenix. I'll probably talk about that on Overtime Wrestling when I get back onto that project. But yeah, Chad Gable, I'm just gonna say this, Chad Gable was screwed. Like, look, I'm not denying that he was doing great last year, and then it all just went sideways, because in my humble opinion, Sami Zayn did not need to beat Volta at WrestleMania. He already had his big WrestleMania moment, tag team with his best friend against the Usos in a tag team match main event. And I definitely felt like that was like, that's the moment. That's his moment. And Chad Gable should have gotten his. He was on the cusp of becoming an upper mid-card star to a potential main event star with his abilities. And had he beaten Volta for the IC title, it would have been awesome. And he had Volta's number on several occasions, so naturally it made sense to have him be the one that breaks the streak of Volta. But no, it went to Sami Zayn, and to this day, I still don't get what the purpose was. Some people are now starting to make accusations against him, saying he's using his Mick Foley pulse, Mick Foley creative power, influence and whatnot, using the Mick Foley method, apparently being toxically nice and whatnot. I don't know the full details on that, but apparently they think that he's doing what Mick Foley apparently did back then to give himself political power in wrestling, which I never heard of that kind of story, but okay. But yeah, Chad Gable, and look, I would have been alright had Sami Zayn beaten Volta if it meant Chad Gable would eventually get one over on Sami and get the victory and get the title. That didn't happen, and he then entered a feud with the White Six, lost every single time, and then subsequently been doing just he's basically been regurgitated to the Dolph Ziggler role of go out there, put on good matches, move on with your life. And I was like, look, I don't know how he would have done in AEW, but at least he would have went to Japan and stole the show every single freaking week. They had a big show there. I don't know his run in AEW would have been, but it certainly would have at least let him do stuff in Japan. Yeah, that's how bad it is. And look, and it sucks that Chad Gable's been relegated to that level where he's now just the Dolph Ziggler, just go in there, put on good matches, and then go out and get your ass kicked for debuting wrestlers. It just sucks that that's where he's at now in his career, and it's a damn tragedy, in all honesty. But Pentagon Jr. would be the new big name for WWE, and they even spoiled it ahead of time by announcing merchandise, because they were like, yeah, everyone knows, why should we even bother? And fine, I get that part. And then they have him show up on Netflix's Raw, and it was insane to see that reaction. It was almost like AEW has been a positive for wrestlers' opportunities there and for getting more market appeal. But you know, we gotta ignore that, right? Tribalists. But as that has gone on, we would get Penta, as his name has been reducted a little bit to be just Penta. I hope I would have preferred to keep him with Pentagon Jr., but if they decide to bring back Pentagon Dark, I would love that as like his more violent version of him, like the Demon Finn Balor was, until Ring Roast broke. Yeah. anyways, so with all this in mind, it was like, okay, you got these two great athletes, two talented performers, they can probably go, and they certainly went, and oh god, WWE wanted to, I think, make a shot towards Kenny with how he and his match with Penta went at All In all those years ago. Man, that's a classic. Where Penta does the Zero Miedo thing, Chad just grabs his arm and twists it and does his pro wrestling tactical style maneuver. Whereas at All In, the original, Kenny grabbed Penta's hand and just, please, and slapped him in the face. That was funny. But with all that in mind, this led to a pretty good 10-12 minute match. Pretty good technical sound, great performance. Now, people were somewhat annoyed. I don't know why, but no one hates wrestling more than WWE fans, tribalists, I think. Because they felt like Penta sure squashed Chad, and I was like, can we just get a great match out of these two? We don't need like a massive squash on the guy who's already been squashed enough. Might as well just let him do some creative outlet for wrestling to at least do some fun wrestling matches. If you're not going to give him the IC title or have an opportunity to take on, you know, the main event scene or fight Volta for the world title, that'd be awesome. But with all that in mind, Penta does they call a wrestling move the Mexican Destroyer, and I'm just like, we're calling it that. Like, okay, we can't call it just a destroyer or anything. Like calling it, like I get like they're trying to be clever about it. I think I don't know why. Some people didn't like calling it that, or even the Canadian Destroyer. It's just, yeah. But there was a moment in the match I kind of wish did happen, where Penta goes flying over the ropes to crash into Chad. I kind of wished that Chad actually caught him and was looking like he was gonna and would look like he would powerbomb Penta through on the ring ropes, only for Penta to reverse it into a poison rana and crash Chad's head into the mat, into the side apron of the ring, which would have been awesome. It probably, in my eyes, I kind of hoped that was going to be the end route to showcase Chad's power and athleticism and Penta's high, quick-thinking maneuvers. That would have been an awesome moment instead of just having him fly over the ropes and crash into Chad Gable. And then we get this move called the Sacrifice, which is basically Penta's signature arm-breaking maneuver. And then he gets his finisher on him and gets the 1-2-3. Oh, and by the way, his family was there, and his daughter was crying seeing him, and then for some reason people went after the daughter for being so overly emotional, and I was like, oh, for Pete's sakes. Oh, God. Because they didn't know that was his daughter. Because the only time people ever saw the daughter was wearing a mask and being super tiny. Except that was years ago. But, moving on from that, how fast people grow. But yeah, moving on from that, we got a good TV matchup between these two. It was fun. He cut a promo saying how this is his new home now. I kind of get annoyed with that nowadays because he just started. I don't think he's ever been in WWE, not even as a residential jobber thing, where he comes in for the developmental stuff, but that's a totally different matter. But one thing I did get into, but here's the thing, this debate should have been perfect, right? Well, the commentators decided to destroy Penta's, just give us Penta's overly explicit, decided to make that comparison about Penta, because Masked Luchador, insanely talented, known the world over, oh, he's clearly going to be the next Rey Mysterio. And I was like, oh, for Pete's sake. Like, are you trying to fail him now? Like, that's something I didn't like. I don't like that comparison. Because every time when they bring in a Latino-based wrestler, they either do the Eddie Guerrero or the Rey Mysterio comparison. I'm like, you can go ahead and make accusations if they're trying to be racist about it. Wouldn't surprise me at this point. But it's also kind of insane, like, they make that comparison and it's just, well, that's done. And then all of a sudden they're getting mad at the talent for not being the idealized luchador-based wrestler or Latino-based wrestler like Eddie Guerrero was, or Rey Mysterio. Like, here's the thing. I love Eddie Guerrero. I love Rey Mysterio. Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. Oh, Latino heat. But not no one should be having the expectations, you're the next Rey. You're the next Eddie. That is an insane expectation, and we're probably going to set you up for failure for that. And then we're going to somehow blame you for not living up to our expectations, even though that probably should have been our fault. It's just that annoying thing I hate so freaking much. Just hearing that comparison just drives me up the wall. And then people fall for it, and then people get mad, and then okay, so following about that, reports came out that unhappy AEW wrestlers, understandably so, feel like now that they can go to WWE and get that same presentation, except what's Andrade doing right now? Like, it kind of goes by a case-by-case basis. And plus, this is just a debut. They could be back. They could show up on WWE Speed at any time now. They get the big debut return, and then they immediately falter, or disappear, or hang out in catering. The only exception to the rule has been Cody, and you could say everyone's favorite to say for a lot of people that went from AEW to WWE, like some went to NXT, and Shawn Spears went to NXT again as the chairman. Props to let him keep his character, but it's like not everyone's gonna get that Cody treatment. Like, they're not. That's an insane expectation to have. I'm like, if we put MJF off of AEW and moved him to WWE, he couldn't really be MJF without the edgy cursing and whatnot. Because WWE can't operate like that. And what they can, but they would have to go to TV14. But then MJF wouldn't really be MJF. He'd just basically be The Miz, but probably more popular. But yeah, he would have to find a way to keep the MJF edge, but not be really MJF. That's kind of the issue here. But that's a completely different topic we can have later down the road. So yeah, Penta, I wish you honestly the best of luck, man. I'm rooting for you. I sincerely hope you don't get trapped in the whole Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio bubble of forcibly being expected to be that next level, that next talent, to be the next Eddie, the next Rey. It's just annoying when they make that comparison, honestly. But we'll see y'all again next time, man. And Rey, I sincerely hope things work out with you in AEW, and I sincerely hope you at least are allowed to perform one last time before leaving. I mean, but yeah. And I'm not even going to talk about the whole inhumane treatment claims, and like, that's a completely different topic. I'll probably talk about Overtime Wrestling on my other channel on NRE Universe. We'll see, but right now things are set. Penta's in WWE, and he is hopefully going to take some moments out of this. Oh, and please don't put him in the LWO. That's going to lock him even further down under Rey's leadership. But I will look forward to the eventual sequel to Rey vs. Penta, because they already had a match in Lucha Underground, and they acknowledge Lucha Underground exists, so take that for what you will. And for some reason, and then Penta goes ahead, maybe one day we'll fight, and I'm like, you did fight. It was in Lucha Underground. You mentioned it on TV. What's the difference here? What changed? Did you press the retcon button? Oh yeah, we pressed the retcon button in the Triple H era. That's a disaster. But yeah, This is your host, Eric Brown of NRE, host of NRE Wrestlverse. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my content in the description below to get you more. And I'll see y'all again next time. Peace and take care. And take care of yourselves and each other. And always forget, Cielo Miedo.